Hello and thanks for watching this Cloud9 ERP Solutions video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to talk about how to get around accounts receivable, how to look at a customer's balance, and how to take a payment. So let's get started. So what we're looking at here is the customer details screen. Customer details screen can be found under Receivables, Customer Details. And it's an alternative to traditional financial software packages, Accounts Receivable Report. Acumatica still has that. You can find many different versions of it here. In fact, we'll take a look at it. And here we have the ability to decide whether or not we want a detailed or summary, many different settings here. But if we pick the same customer and we run it, you can see all of the different open invoices and their different buckets in a normal conventional AR aging report. Before I continue, only 15% of you are subscribed. Hit that subscribe button now to get notified about new videos and events. But if we go back to the customer details, what's nice about this is it shows all of your open documents, meaning anything that doesn't have a balance of 0. So, and you can see them all here, and you can click on it and open up the document. You can do that from the AR aging report also. And typically I like to create a filter so I can see invoices versus payments. So I get an idea of the payment history, but I also can see open invoices. Remember that payments can have an open balance also if they're unapplied. So if we go here to click on type, we unselect everything and we say payment, click apply. And then we save our filter as payments only. You could share it with people if we want to. And you're seeing nothing in this list. I'll show you in a second how this comes out. And then we'll change our filter and we'll select invoice instead. We'll click apply. Acumatica prompts us for the save filter, but we're not going to save over our existing. Instead, we're going to save as. This is going to be called invoices only. So now we have our invoices only. And you notice up here at the top of the screen, you have a few options. You have, what period, financial period. If you use different accounts receivable GL accounts, you can do that, or sub-accounts. Different currency if you're using multi-currency. And then you have this filter here, show all documents. So show all documents will give you even documents that have a 0 balance. And to make this a little clear, let me bring over our currency balance column a little bit closer and our original amount here. So now you can see our currency balance, but if I sort by ascending, for example, you can see we now have invoices that have 0 balance. But why would I want to see invoices with 0 balance? Well, if I'm on the phone with a customer and we're going through what invoices are open and what invoices aren't, well, now I can see some of the history. But additionally, if I change to payments only, I can now see my payment history. So as the customer is saying, well, did you receive this payment? How did you apply it? Well, I now can do that. I can open up any one of these documents as payments, all while talking to the customer, and click on application history. And I can see that, yes, sir, your payment was applied to the following invoices, 13366, 13382, and a couple of overdue charges. And here's the amounts. And you could send this along to the customer. Of course, you can do that by printing the report here, the AR register detailed, and you can send that to the customer as well. So the customer details inquiry screen is super powerful. You can also see unreleased documents. If maybe a couple of your AR clerks haven't released everything yet, you want to see inbound things haven't been released. Maybe you release post documents nightly instead of on the fly. That's certainly possible. And if you want to see any interim things, you could check this box here. So that's our customer details. Now, we go back to invoices only, or if we go back to our AR aging, we can see that there's quite a few open invoices still left for this customer. And this is our sample data. So, of course, a lot of it is over 60 days. It's at the top bucket we have. Now, keep in mind, when you configure Acumatica, you can configure how you want these buckets to look. Also, people always ask me, under receivables, we have different types of reports. We have the AR aging. We also have a coming due report. This has been labeled in the last few years with Acumatica to make it simpler to understand. But if I run that report and I pick our customer, notice the aging bucket. So what this is doing is this is changing it, where instead of seeing past due, you can see, well, within the next 30 days or so, 11 to 30 days, I should expect that these invoices are coming up. And over 60 days, I should expect this money to come in. So this is just showing everything in a past due bucket, because that's what it is. And you can see coming due. You also have a period sensitive AR aging. And what that allows you to do is set a financial period so you can recalculate the AR based on a certain financial period. Of course, you could change the report and maybe add a filter here. So for example, if we change this going back, maybe to 2022, and we run this, and we search for our toy customer, you'll notice everything reflects into different buckets now because we're doing it as of that financial period. It also is helpful to compare your balance sheet, so you can look at your total AR balance and compare it to what your GL says it was in that period. Again, this is October 2022. But moving ahead, if we take a look at our customer here, zoom back out, and we could see all these invoices. Now the customer sends us a payment. And of course, today, the payment can come in many different forms. When I originally did this video, most of the emphasis was on receiving a check payment in the mail. So I'm going to go through a couple of different examples here. Essentially, the focus here is how we apply the payment, not necessarily the payment method. But if I wanted to take a payment, I can do that either through here. I can click on Create Payment. And what Acumatica does is it actually fills in the customer for us so we can get to work. However, if you go to Receivables, you use this button here, New Payment, or you go to Payments and Applications, you could see the new button here. Payments and Applications will give you a list of your payments and applications, whereas New, of course, will bring up the blank screen to enter a new payment. So we can do that also. So let's try this way, and we'll fill in the customer manually. So notice the reference number is new because it has yet to be created. The payment reference number will be a check or a reference number from your outside payment system, or if it's a wire or an ACH, be the transaction number that you get from your bank. We'll type in the customer, and you get a warning here because this particular customer has either past day numbers of days exceeded or the credit limit has been exceeded. So you're going to see that right here. And then you could choose the payment method. So all the different payment methods you have in your system, you can decide which one you want to use. You can put a description in here if you'd like to. You also have the notes button up here. You can create activities and follow-up reminders if this is a payment that maybe needs some looking into. Maybe it's Friday evening and I want to follow up on this payment before releasing it Monday. So you could do that under Activities. If you have any stub or copy that you'd like to do, you can click on this button here. And here you have the ability to drag and drop a check image. So let's say you scanned it, you have the file in your system, or you can click Upload Files and select the file. Or you can click on Upload using mobile app, and that'll prompt your mobile device to use the camera on it to take a picture of whatever image, the check. But in this case, what we'll do is we'll drag and drop the check. And now we have it here, and we can look at it later if we need to reference it. Now, continuing on, we can see all the invoices down here. And if we go and configure our columns, I'm going to take out the line number, the inventory ID, the project, all the project accounting stuff, and we still don't see the balance. Let me find that. We'll move that over. We'll move it over manually. and we'll configure our screen the best way we know how, right? We'll have the invoice amount and then the amount paid. So now from this screen, you could do many different things here. The first thing you could do is you could just pick an amount. And then Acumatica, once you save it, Acumatica will automatically pay off the invoices from old to new. So for example, if I say 400,000, customer has very big invoices here, and I save, and then I go to load documents, I can pick a date range, I can pick the sort order. In this case, I'm sorting by due date, but I could do doc date if I want to, or reference number. And then I could say load. And notice Acumatica automatically starts applying the payment from the oldest due date onward. So we took the 400,000, we started to apply it to this invoice, and then it made its way to this secondary invoice. So that's great. Now, if I delete these and I reset the screen, I start over again, I can also just check off the invoices that I'm applying. So I have a check stub in my hand from the customer. Hopefully I do. Some customers aren't sophisticated enough to provide that. But essentially, I can go through their check stub and check off the invoices that they're paying. I could skip whichever ones. That'll show an applied to documents amount right here. I can confirm that with the payment amount on their check and then hit the refresh button or alter the amounts. Maybe the customer got the invoice amounts wrong, and I could make adjustments leaving these invoices either open or overpaid. In which case, if it's overpaid, I just wouldn't apply it and I'd leave a payment with an open balance. So let's say, for example, in that case, we have a customer that gave us 900,000, but we can only apply to these invoices. That's all they've checked. They have the amounts wrong. So we could do one of two things. We could apply what we think the customer's trying to do. We can call the customer and confirm maybe they want to take that extra 29,000 and apply it to this other invoice. But if we leave the 900,000 open, we can contact the customer later and say, all right, well, we have a $28,000 balance left over. We're holding it for you. We just want to know where you want to apply it. So you can do that. If I hit the refresh button again, it will match the applied to documents total of the payment amount. So I can do that. So now if I release this payment, you'll notice the documents to apply, future tense, has disappeared. And we can now see it in the application history. If I create a new payment, pick our customer again, same one, you'll notice that there's less invoices available to be paid. But you'll also notice that this amount paid column, I can put anything I want in there. So let's say, for example, the customer sends us a $5,000 payment. We want to apply it, small payment to a invoice. You could do that here, and you could put certain amounts. Maybe they're incrementally paying some of these invoices. You can also use a cash discount if it's available. So for example, if I put in $2,500, the system's not allowing me to because the payment term of these invoices doesn't allow for such a big cash discount. However, you can also use a write-off amount. So assuming everything's approved and you have that ability, you have the right to do it, you can also say, well, I'm going to take a $5,000 payment here, but my amount is $5,000 that I'm applying. So essentially $7,500 total would come off this invoice. However, the customer itself has only a $200 write-off limit, also a customer preference, and also a field that you would secure to ensure that no one makes this change unless they're authorized to do so. So if I can only write off $200, I can put that in there. And now I have a $200 write-off amount. So I'm reducing the balance of this. The customer's only given us $7,500. I refreshed up here earlier. But you're essentially applying $5,200 off this invoice. And the write-off amount would have a default reason in the system. And that default reason is this balance write-off, which is tied to a GL account. That's your expense account for this write-off. So if we release this, we now can go to application history and see the history of this. Notice we got these project task, account columns that have come back. You'd configure each one the way you'd like to work. Additionally, we also have the ability to do charges. So if I do another payment, I have the ability to apply an amount. Again, let's say it's $500. But then under charges, I can add an entry type. Now, this is a disbursement entry type, meaning that we're sending out money, meaning that maybe it cost us money to take this payment. So you have the ability to put that dollar figure in there, and you see the finance charge. The amount the customer is sending us is still $500. Only apply $500 to any number of invoices here. But there's a $5 transaction that's going out on top of it. So we can do that accordingly. For more detail on how charges work, we have other videos for that. You can find them in our YouTube channel. Lastly, I'm going to create our last payment. We can pick our customer. And if we choose a different payment method, for example, credit card pay, over here we have the ability to put another card, a credit card, on the fly. Now, if the customer has a credit card on file, you'll see a drop down here where you can choose different payment methods, different credit card payment methods that the customer has. This also works with ACH payments. But in this case, the customer has nothing. So if we go to Documents to apply, and maybe we're taking a $10 payment, we refresh here, and then we go over and we capture. Acumatica's payment brings up a pay with card. This is completely PCI compliant, so we can put in the name. That's a test credit card. We'll give it a future date, and we can give it the address. This is a test credit card, so it should go through. Click Submit. And you can see once again that we've applied the amount, the $10 amount, against this particular invoice. If we go to card processing, we can see all the times we tried to run this card. Again, this could be ACH also. And you could see the transaction authorization number right here. So this gives you a history on it. And this also shows up under your payment processing. There's a screen here called Payment Processing. It's our log that shows all the different payments and which ones have failed, which ones have worked. And you can see, based on this date range, it'll show us that here. So in other videos, we'll talk about, for example, statements and how to run statements and how to do some more in-depth accounts receivable. But in this video, we talked about how to look at customer balances, looking at the aging report, using our customer details inquiry screen, how to apply a payment, how to hit an additional charge, for example, a bank charge, and how to run a credit card payment as well. And all the different methods of applying these payments and how they show up on the invoice. So thanks so much for watching this video on accounts receivable and some of the basic concepts for becoming an AR clerk. And if you have any questions about this or anything else Acumatica, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to help you. As always, click the like button if you enjoyed or this video was useful, and have a great day.